Hi, I'm Adam Trest, and I am an artist. I don't necessarily draw representational things in the sense of a dog that looks just like my dog or your dog. Instead, try to capture the spirit of them and the joy and the exuberance that a dog has. If I can capture the way a dog like bounds across a field, I think that people connect to that. It does actually come across as symbolism instead of representation, and I really do love that because I get to come up with sort of this glossary of symbols that I love to see in my work. Dogs are like always driven. They go after the thing that they want. When I was a kid, we had a fox that lived behind our house, and it was like this mythical creature. Like if you saw that fox, it didn't matter what had happened, your day was gonna go better. You were going to have a good day. When I put a fox in my work, I don't know what other people see when they look at it, but for me, it's like a visual reminder that like we get to have the day we have. We get to choose if we're gonna have a good day or not. So then like when you start to put things together, it's like a dog chasing a fox means I'm gonna pursue a good day. And I think that's really like a special thing. Sketching is kind of the time when I get to work out all of the kinks because I don't like to paint over pencil lines. I am an acrylic painter with a watercolor background. What that basically means is that I paint backwards. Typically in opaque mediums, you would start with the darkest color and then you would build your layers forward. In watercolor, it's backwards. It's like a battle. And so you have the white of your paper and you're building the layers to the dark. The way that I paint is not either of those ways. I'll tone the canvas completely. I don't like for there to be white on the canvas at all. And then I just rough in whatever it is that I want. Now, like with a darker color, I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna add like these darker moments with that watercolor influence. I knew if you start with the light background and you're working your way to the dark, you're protecting the areas that you're proud of. And so if I start with a really textured layer here, by the time I clean up all of the edges, the background's the very last thing that I paint. And so it's gonna clean all of the edges of the subjects of the painting. So it makes for an interesting journey to the painting. My kids think it's hysterical that like their drawings look better than mine do when I first start. There's always the moment where you're like, am I good at this? Like, we've known the Napiers for way longer than they've been on it hometown. We went to rival high schools. When we got back from college, Erin and I worked together. She had a stationery company and I would do illustrations for her. We've done lots of projects together over the years. It's wild to think that like while we get to do these projects, we live in our hometown of Laurel, Mississippi. The thing that I love about hometown is because I've been able to be on multiple seasons now, people recognize my work based off of the style. And I've had kids that are like, oh my gosh, we love your foxes. And you're like, what do you even mean by that? Like, that's just so crazy. But it is, I mean, you think every time you're on an episode, it's about 2 million people that are seeing your work. It's exposure that I could never have asked for. Working with them has been really fun, and then it's led to other projects outside of hometown. Getting to illustrate a children's book. I would send Erin text messages occasionally that would just be like, oh hey, and remember, when you write your children's book, not if, when you write your children's book, I want to be the illustrator. Like, don't forget about me. I want to illustrate your book. And she would always respond with something like, well, duh, you know, like, of course you'd illustrate my book.
I did not want to write the book unless I knew that Adam was able to illustrate it.
One day I got a text message that was like, hey, are you ready to illustrate that book? And I was like, are you kidding? I'm so excited. Because I love telling stories. When you tell a story with a canvas, you get one shot, right? Like you get this one image that you get to share, and that's the story. A children's book is 26 pages. You get 26 ways to tell a story. Erin and I both love classic children's books, and so when we worked on The Lantern House, it was all about how can this book feel like a book that we had when we were kids? And it's how we started the process of developing the book. Was we sat down at a table actually in one of my old studios, and we both brought tote bags full of our own children's books that we still had. We looked at all of our influences and then said, okay, now how can we create something really special? And that's really the way that we get to approach every project together, is like, how can we do something that's great? When you have a book that hits the New York Times bestseller list, like that is a portfolio of my work. Everyone who purchased a copy has a piece of my work in their home. And if you talk about it too much, it overwhelms me. And I get a little like, it's so crazy to think about. And you know, that's the goal, right? Like the goal is for people to see the work, even when it's things like tile or wallpaper. Like whenever we get an order for those, and I think about like, someone has my work in their bathroom, that is crazy to me. When I sit down, I have a story in my head already about why is this bird flying past this dog? And it could be really simple or it could be really deeply meaningful to me. It doesn't matter what the story is that I'm trying to tell. As soon as I put this on a canvas and as soon as I'm finished with it, my story is great and I'm sure it would be meaningful. But I don't really ever tell people what the story is, because the thing that I found is that as soon as someone else sees it, they have their own story that they tell with it. And it's more fun for me to give that to whoever it is looking at the work. It's the coolest. I want to make it feel like the art envelops you. I am so excited about the opportunity for my work to be seen at the Orleans Gallery in such a vibrant and amazing city. And to know that my work is getting to be seen with some of the greats, it's a wild concept that I'm having trouble wrapping my brain around.